Welcome back, folks, to Rapid Fire Leaked, and today we'll cover the T26E5, the Jumbo Pershing, the big brother Pershing tank. Now this vehicle will be a premium tier 8 American heavy tank, not a medium, it's going to be a heavy, so that's kinda surprising. But what's really shocking about this vehicle is the time frame from the initial stats leaked on the super test server to the actual reveal of this vehicle on the live server is just over 1 month. So that's insanely fast. That's super quick. I've been doing leak videos for super test server vehicles for a long time, and the usual time frame from the super test server leakage to the actual reveal on the live server is about 6 to 7 months at the best. So for 1 month you have the actual stats leaked to the actual reveal. That's insanely quick. So props to Wargaming, but they promised to reveal this vehicle tomorrow on the North American server, so I could be wrong and being misled, so they may not actually reveal this vehicle, so I could look stupid, but let's just do the leak video anyways, whatever. So here's a little history about the T26E5, the Jumbo Pershing. So as the name expected to be, Jumbo Pershings are Pershings with more armor, so super obvious, but initial Pershings are pretty good against Panzer IVs and Tiger 1s with their somewhat lower penetration, but when fighting against stuff like the Tiger 2s, the Ferdinand or Panther, multiple Panther tanks, the armor is not that great. So the same concept applied to Sherman Jumbo is also applied to the Pershing tanks. So they added more armor, reinforced the tracks with 5-inch duckbill extenders to help support the weight, and you have the Jumbo Pershings with a little bit more armor at the front. So super simplistic and obvious, but it's effective, right? Now 27 units of the Jumbo Pershings were produced, but they were kinda too late for the war. War's over, they won, American won, so no more use of the Jumbo Pershing. And these vehicles were repurposed into test dummies for the new high explosive anti-tank shells and high velocity AP shells. So they became test targets for new ammo, and that kind of sucks, but it did lead the way, paved the way to the development of patent tanks. So not really a lost cause, but still kind of sucks. I wish we had one to see in real life, but oh well. But here are the variants of the Pershing tanks. So you have the stubby Pershing, the M45. So this is the Sherman's 105mm derp gun on the Pershing. So stubby Pershing. You have the Super Pershing, obvious, the Jumbo Pershing, and then you have the patent Pershing, which is the patent tank. But it looks a lot like the Pershing, so whatever, small details. But here are the blueprints of this vehicle. It did get produced 27 units, so it's not a paper tank, but here are the main stats of the Jumbo Pershing. So as you can see, this vehicle has some armor. It does have armor. It's 152 at the front, well sloped into roughly 200mm effective. So it is sloped, it's thick, so that's great. So it's like the T32. It has more armor than the T32. Not as good sloping, but effectively about the same. So it's pretty good. Rotor cyclone, in housing casement, whatever you call this bulge right here, it's also pretty thick, 203mm rounded up to 220 effective. The machine gun weak spot is not a weak spot. So the battle machine gun is 203mm effective. The encasement is 102, so unless you shoot it at the sides, it's auto bounce. So lower plate is about 196 to 200mm effective. So this plate is 102mm well sloped. There are strips of even thicker armor. Wow! It's a medium, technically, but still a lot of armor. Turret armor is 279 on the mantlet with some armor underneath, so you're not penetrating the mantlet. Good luck, but you're not. Side of the turret is 191. So unless you hit this part and just barely miss the mantlet, you could penetrate with a high penetration gun, but yeah, no. Unless he wiggles the turret, you're not penetrating the turret. You could jam a shot into the turret ring right here. So this is 183mm effective. So unless you're super lucky, you can jam a shot into the turret ring, but I highly doubt it because most American heavy tank players are usually hull down, so it's like this. So it's even harder for you to jam a shot into the turret ring, so don't even think about it. Side armor is American 76mm, so the usual sucky. Back of the hull is 51, so Side of the turret is about 102 to 90-ish, so not that thick. Now, what's also interesting or weak about the turret is the support for the mantlet. So this piece of armor right here is only 76mm. So usually this part is the same as the cheeks of the normal turret, but in this case, it's not. So if you do get shot at right here, it will penetrate and it will damage your gun or even kill your loader or gunner. So that really sucks, but just don't get flanked. Yeah, just don't get, shot at the sides. Rear of the hull is 51, so bleh. There is a counterweight like the T34 to the back of the turret, but not as thick, so don't depend on it. Armor-wise, still pretty decent. The cupola is also not as thick as the T32, so this turret is not as crazy OP like the ultimate Pershing. That's the T32, but you still could bounce a few shots. So yeah, cupola is 76mm rather than the 150 something that's on the T32. So armor wise, it's still fair, but this is a medium range to high range sniping medium or sniping heavy tank, medium slash heavy, whatever. But it does have the armor, so it's a lot better at the hull down and peekaboo positions than the actual medium tanks like the Pershing. So here are the other stats. So penetration is great, 230. APCR is the default ammo for the 90mm gun. So it's a 90mm. It's not the 105. So the alpha is below average by a lot, but the DPM is quite high. So yeah, that's pretty good. 200 more DPM than the average. And you could go up to like 2,400 with the gun rammer and vents. So let's take a look just to be sure. So with gun rammer, vents, and brothers in arms, yeah, 2,400 DPM. That's great. That's amazing. So it's a rapid firing, low alpha gun like the Carnarvon, but it's American, has a little bit more penetration. APCR shell is also pretty fast to travel. So yeah, DPM is still great, even though the alpha is not. Does carry 70 rounds, so you probably won't run out of shells. Yeah, spam all you want. Accuracy is above average, 0.36. Good. 2.21 seconds of aim time. Good. Dispersion is great. So, amazing. Gun depression, 10 degrees, American. 20 elevation, American. So, great. Gun traverse, 35 degrees per second. Close to medium tanks, so good. And turret traverse angle is 26 degrees per second, so average. Hull traverse 30, okay, still above average. Horsepower to ton ratio is above average, but terrain resistance is below average, so counterbalanced. It's fine. Top speed is 40 kilometers per hour top speed. Okay, I mean, still fine. This is better, I think, than the T34. So we'll make sure. Health is slightly below average, but not that much. View range is great, 390 for a premium tank with turret armor. That's great. Radio is standard. Camo is not that bad. Okay. Doesn't have preferential matchmaking. Shouldn't need it because the penetration of the gun. So overall, it's actually pretty fair. But let's compare it with stuff like the T32 and the T34. So compare it with the other premium American heavy tank, you can see that it has better DPM, but not as good penetration or alpha, so it doesn't have the scare factor, but has 400 more DPM. So that's pretty crazy, and does carry a lot more shells to spam. Doesn't have the accuracy of the 120 that's on the T34, but you're a lot faster to aim, a lot faster, better dispersion, and better elevation, and better traverse. So it's a lot faster to re-engage and readjust for the targets. Also, it's a lot faster, way faster with better terrain resistance. And the T34 gets bogged down a lot of the time. And yet, if you watch my previous popular tanks video, the T34 is one of the most popular tanks, like top 10 on all the servers. Surprisingly, right? That's crazy. So view range, great. So 30 more meters of view range. Radio is the same, better camo. Yep, and the same matchmaking. So yeah. Unless you are afraid of missing out on the alpha or the penetration, then this vehicle is somewhat better than the T34 because it has the better DPM, better dispersion and aim time and gun handling stuff with the mobility, but yet also the armor. So the T34 has 102 at the front with the gigantic machine gun weak spot, the bow machine gun weak spot, whereas for the Jumbo Pershing, it's 152 at the front, so 50 more millimeters of armor, and a lot more effective because of the sloping. So this has more armor than the T34 and more DPM, so it's surprisingly good. Let's compare it with the T32, the ultimate Pershing. Where the hell is the... There it is. So here you can see the T32 has only 127, so 20 less millimeters of armor on the frontal plate, but it's better sloped on here, so it's a balanced out trade-off frontal plate, but lower plate is only 95, so does have a machine gun weak spot, but the turret on the T32 is outstanding. It's the best turret in the game. You cannot penetrate this turret most of the time because the cupola is 152 rounded, so frontal thickness is 300 to automatic bounce to, you just know. Yeah, side of the turret is 300 millimeter. So the ultimate Pershing, but side armor is still the same, 76 millimeters. So that's the usual for American heavy tanks with no armor on the sides. So yeah, haul down, it's great. Doesn't have the alpha, but hey, has the DPM, right? And the penetration's a lot better. 32 millimeters more penetration, better accuracy, same aim time, better dispersion, slightly less view range, but not that much. Better mobility. Holy crap, it's actually pretty good of a heavy tank, even though it's a medium. So yeah, it's not that bad, right? If only you can train your medium tank crew with this vehicle, if only. But here are the rest of the final thoughts and opinions. So it's the fastest super test server vehicle from stats leaked to implementation. So about 1 month, just over 1 month. That's crazy. The name reflects the stats. It's a hybrid medium/heavy tank, similar to the Jumbo Sherman tank, Sherman Jumbo. But the frontal armor, the gun handling, the penetration, the APCR, default ammo, DPM, horsepower per ton, top speed, view range, all are good for a premium tank. This is a premium. This is not a normal tank. So you do make more credits and XP for your crew. So amazing. The alpha is a downside, and the terrain resistance and side armor, and not as strong turret armor. So turret armor could be a little bit better, but you're asking a little bit too much. So I could ask for a 105 millimeter gun, but a little bit too much. So thicker frontal hull armor, weaker frontal turret armor than the T32 and T34. So trade off, but the turret is still a little bit more reliable than the T34's turret because the little cupola common weak spot. So trades penetration and alpha for mobility and view range and gun handling and DPM than the T34. So that's a lot, right? Mobility is coupled with strong turret, means it quickly gets into the hills and abuse haul down positions So it's a lot faster to do that than the T34s. So it's the same terrain resistance as the Super Pershings, but with better horsepower per ton ratio by 53.4%. Holy crap. So it's half. Wow, that's a big boost. So is it worth it? Well, it's mostly judged and turned off by the alpha and the model of the tank. So everybody takes a look at the Jumbo Pershing. So it's like, oh, Pan KRs or T25 pilot number 1s or T23E1s or E3s, and just like, oh, another Pershing-like tank. So I'm getting bored of it. Doesn't have the alpha, whatever, I'll skip. But it is worth it. Trust me, it is worth it because the armor is relatively very solid. And it has a lot of penetration for a premium tank with the DPM. So the penetration means you don't have to use gold ammo. You just normally hit weak spot. And the dispersion of this vehicle is pretty good. So it's a solid buy, a very solid buy, even more than the Pilot number 1 T25 or the Pan KR, in my honest opinion. And there's no real weakness for this vehicle other than the terrain resistance, but still even better than the T34. So yeah, if this was a medium tank, I would be amazed. If it was dual purpose, like you can train your medium tank crews and your heavy tank crews, like the T34-88, that's for German and Russian, you know what I mean, but still, if you can train dual crews with this vehicle, that would be amazing. So it's a very solid buy. It's borderline OP, borderline, because the armor is still roughly kinda weak for a heavy tank, but still pretty decent for a premium tank, so still worth it. But it's a very solid buy, so I still recommend it over stuff like the Pan KR or the T25 Pilot number 1, or even maybe the T34. If you really get pissed off by the accuracy of the T34, then I highly recommend you getting this vehicle because it has better hull armor and better dispersion, better DPM than the T34. So, and better view range, a lot better view range. So get this vehicle if you want to play American heavy tanks, but just don't want to get bothered by the crappy accuracy or the crappy dispersion of a T34. Takes too long to aim. Try this vehicle out first before getting the other one. Or you can get the M6 Mutant, but that's that's super hard to get. Or you can get the Chrysler K tank, but that's more of a VK style, not really haul down vehicle. So get this tank before you get the T34. Try it first before you switch. So here are the other final thoughts and opinions. So we have a lot of Pershing tanks in the game, with the normal Pershing, the Super Pershing, now the Jumbo Pershing. The T32 is the ultimate Pershing in my standards. You also have the Pershing number 2, which is the patent tank. So the M46 patent is the Pershing number 2, with the Tiger Pershing number 2. And you have the stubby Pershing, which is the M45, which is a stock Pershing tank. And we could get the Mutant Pershing tank. So what is a Mutant Pershing? I already talked about this in my T25 Pilot number 1 video, but it's basically a Mutant's turret, the M6 Mutant's turret on a Pershing chassis with 105mm gun. Yeah, that's the Mutant Pershing. So we could see it. It could be very interesting, but I mean, make this vehicle the premium medium tank and make the Mutant Pershing the premium heavy tank. That would be great. But there you go, folks, the Jumbo Pershing. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.